Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reacting to a guy that is blowing up. That guy's called, let me try to find him, his story. I'm going to find his profile real quick. Where's his story? Can someone tell me where's his story? I don't know where his story is. Bruh! Oi! His story. Am I not subscribed to him? Yes, I am. Okay, let's see some of his shorts.
My dad stood over my bed. "You can skip school today if you come to work with me instead." 5-year-old me instantly jumped out of bed, even though I had no idea what my dad's job was. Yes, yes, yes. He passed me a ski mask, and I followed him to the car with no idea what to expect. We drove past houses, and I pointed at the boarded-up windows. "Where are we going, Daddy?" He spoke through gritted teeth. "Don't ask me any more questions, son." Beads of sweat came down my face, but I nodded because I didn't want my dad to be mad at me. He parked behind a house with cages on the windows, and when we got out, he pulled a huge black duffel bag out of the trunk. He hung the strap over my shoulder. "I need you to knock and give this to them, son. I can't be seen here. This job's better for you anyway." My knees were trembling, and I didn't want to do it anymore. But before I could say anything, my dad was already watching from behind the corner, so I dragged the duffel bag up the stairs. When I knocked, the biggest man I'd ever seen opened the door. I waved. "My daddy has this delivery for you. He's around the corner." He unzipped the bag without a word and stared inside. "Is that it?" My heart started pounding with adrenaline because he was staring at me with daggers in his eyes. He immediately grabbed his phone to dial 911, and I felt my dad's hand closed around my arm. "Run, buddy, as fast as you can. Now!" My dad was sprinting down the block, so I followed him while my ankles ached. "Why are we running, Daddy?" He didn't answer, and the sirens behind us kept getting louder. Ahead was an alley, skinny and dark. He stopped running. He turned around and ran towards me. "I'm sorry, son. I love you. I want you to remember that grown-ups sometimes do bad things, but it's never their children's fault." I wanted to ask what he meant, but he ran down the alley as the cop cars pulled up. An officer held me tight with tears in his eyes. "You shouldn't have had to go through that. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to know where my daddy was." My dad stood over my bed. My dad shook me awake at 4 a.m. on a school night, frantically telling me to get out of bed and come to the living room right now. I shot up still half asleep, but Dad was already bolting downstairs. I followed him, my heart pounding because this felt wrong. Dad sat me in a chair and pulled me to the TV. Mortal Kombat was loaded up. "I finally unlocked all the characters, son. I really want to play with you using them." He tossed me a controller with the widest grin and sat next to me, but I groaned because he'd made me believe something was wrong. "I have school tomorrow, Dad. I need to sleep." I put the controller down and stood up, but then he put his hand on my shoulder. "You're not going to school, kid. You're playing Mortal Kombat with me." My face lit up, and before I could respond, Dad pulled 2 pizza boxes and lemonade from behind the couch. "So what do you say? School?" My dad stood over my bed. "You can skip school." My dad shook me awake at 4 a.m. but Dad was already bolting downstairs. I followed him and pulled me to the TV. Mortal Kombat using them. He tossed me a controller with the widest grin and sat next to me, but I groaned because he'd made me believe something was wrong. "I have school tomorrow, Dad. I need to sleep." I put the controller down and stood up, but then he put his hand on my shoulder. "You're not going to school, kid. You're playing Mortal Kombat with me." My face lit up, and before I could respond, Dad pulled 2 pizza boxes and lemonade from behind the couch. "So what do you say? School or fun with your dad?" I instantly plopped down and grabbed my controller while he loaded up the game, smiling. I used every character he unlocked, and when the sun came up and the school bus drove by our house, me and Dad were still playing. The only danger around was having too much fun. My dad shook me awake at 4 a.m. I was in class making my robotic arm clench a fist just by thinking about it, when the biggest bully in school snatched it off and held it out of reach. "Cool toy, it's mine now." He looked at both my empty sleeves and smirked. "What are you gonna do? Grab it with your nubs, loser." I stood up, shoved him until he dropped it, and clicked it back into place. "It's not a toy. This is my arm." The recess bell rang, and his face twisted with anger. "We'll finish this at recess." My stomach dropped, because I knew he meant it, but I wasn't letting him take it. I walked into recess with my fist clenched, ready for him. He came straight at me, ripped my arm off my shoulder, and when I reached for it with my nub, he slapped me with my own arm and shoved me into the dirt. "You don't deserve this arm like I do." The whole playground laughed. He slid my arm onto it.
Ow, people.
Zone and held it up. This is mine now. Nobody can beat me. And for the first time, I let his words get to me and felt defeated. But then he turned on the little kids, chasing them and grabbing them by the collar with my hand while they cried. When one boy tripped, the bully stood over him and raised my fist to hit him. So I got up and shoved him with my nubs. That's not yours. Leave him alone. The playground went silent because I had no hands and no way to fight him. He let the boy go, grabbed my collar, and pulled his fist back. Everyone waited for me to get destroyed, but I just smiled because he had no idea what he was holding. He swung my arm to punch me, but it yanked backward and stopped. He stared at it, confused. Why'd it do that? Obey me! Punch him! But I smiled harder because I control my arm with my thoughts. I clenched my nub and my fist flew back and cracked him in his own nose. Then I made him slap himself, shove himself into the dirt, and grab his own collar. Exactly what he did to me. The whole playground erupted. The little kids he'd terrorized laughing the loudest. Stop! You belong to me! He cried, punching my arm as hard as he could to knock it off. But it's metal, so he just shattered the bones in his own hand and dropped to his knees, screaming. I calmly picked my arm up and clicked it back on. You just got rocked by a kid with no hands, loser. I was in class. The class clown tried to hypnotize the meanest teacher in school. You're getting very sleepy. Mrs. Vaughn snatched the pendulum mid-swing. One more word, and you're suspended. My eyes widened, because if he made another teacher quit too, he'd probably get expelled. But Dante turned to the class like he didn't even care. Should I tell her what happened yesterday when I hypnotized her? I had no idea what he was talking about, but kids all around me started nodding, and Mrs. Vaughn put her hands on her hips. What are you talking about? Dante smirked. You knelt down and swore loyalty to me in front of everybody. You said I was a king. I pinched myself to stop myself from laughing, and I realized none of this ever happened. The whole class was just backing up his lie to break her. But then she pointed straight at me, because I was the only kid she actually trusted. Tell them the truth. My heart started pounding with adrenaline, because if I lied, I'd get in trouble with Dante. But if I told the truth, the whole class would hate me. You bowed down to him, miss. You told him you'd do anything for him. Her face went red, but before she could scream at me, Dante took out his phone. I have proof. He walked to the front of the class, took the black wire connected to the projector, and plugged it into his phone. On the big screen, we watched as Mrs. Vaughn got on her knees and actually bowed down to Dante. You're my king, my lord. I would do anything for you. I was so shocked I couldn't even breathe, because I hadn't expected him to make an AI video just to annoy Mrs. Vaughn. The entire class was banging on their desks, laughing. Mrs. Vaughn instantly grabbed the wall phone to call the principal. My entire body tensed up because I thought we were all going to be suspended. And when the principal walked in, Mrs. Vaughn pointed a shaking hand at the projector. Look what Dante made. He's destroying my reputation with lies. I held my breath, but the principal took one look at Dante and went pale. He leaned into her ear to whisper, and the room was so quiet, we heard every word. I fought him last year about this, and the board didn't do anything because they couldn't prove the video was fake. Just say you remember. It's easier. I gasped, because even the principal couldn't save her, because Dante had gotten to him too. Mrs. Vaughn looked around, and Dante snapped his fingers. And you're awake from my hypnotic spell. She closed her eyes and said it through her teeth. Welcome back, my lord. I got an emergency call that a robbery was in progress, so I rushed over to the store, my hands on my holster. The owner immediately pointed at the homeless man sitting on the floor in the corner of his store. That filthy beggar was robbing me, he spat. Arrest him. I walked towards the man and noticed the scrunched up bouquet of flowers in his lap. I asked him if he'd really been stealing, and he looked up. It's my wife's birthday. She's homeless out here with me, and I had no money to get her flowers. My chest tightened because his entire face was bruised, but the owner was already leaning over my shoulder. He reached down and snatched the flowers out of the man's lap. Here's what I think of your wife. He spat on the bouquet and dropped it onto the floor. I was shocked, but the homeless man instantly pushed himself up to his feet. Don't you ever talk about my wife. The owner spun to me instantly, pointing.
That went on him, hell
See,
no.
he's aggressive. He just threatened me. Arrest him right now. I realized the situation was escalating, so I put a hand up and told everyone to calm down, but the owner was starting to get on my nerves. I asked the man how he got the bruises on his face, and the owner smirked. That was me. I made sure to really hit hard when I saw this piece of filth stealing. He said it proudly, and because I was homeless once, I'd reached my limit. So you assaulted him. That's a crime, and you're under arrest. His face dropped as I reached for my cuffs. He shoved me back hard. You're not arresting me. Arrest him and his wife for existing around me. But I closed the gap and grabbed his wrist. I'll
Freaking head.
charge you for assault of an officer too if you're not careful. The homeless man put his hand on my shoulder. Nobody's ever taken my side before. I nodded and walked the owner out while he cursed it up.
Oh.
But as I shoved him into my cruiser, I saw the homeless man handing the flowers to his wife on the corner, and beside them, there was a homeless little girl, mouthing, "Happy birthday, mommy." My heart genuinely shattered, so I decided to I was showing the new girl Melody how to work the ticket register when my co-worker Ben leaned over her shoulder. "Sweetheart, you might want to ask to be trained by someone who isn't an idiot." Melody's eyes darted between us like she wasn't sure if this was a joke, and I gave her a small smile. "It's okay, you're doing great." She waited until he walked off before asking, "Are you seriously okay with him talking to you like that?" I just shrugged. I just ignore it. I'd stood up for myself once before and gotten written up for creating a hostile work environment, so I'd learned to keep my mouth shut a long time ago. This was just the usual around here, so I didn't expect today to be any different. An hour later, I was walking Melody through the weekly movie schedule when Ben launched a handful of popcorn at the back of my head from across the concession stand. Kernels rained down onto the counter and stuck in my hair. Oopsie, my hand slipped. Our coworker Jacob laughed so hard he cried. I sighed and started picking them out one by one because getting mad had never once gotten me anywhere here. Later, when I was mopping the lobby floor between showings, a line of customers already forming for the next movie, Jacob walked by and tipped his soda straight onto the section I'd just finished. Oops, Ben doubled over, slapping the counter. A few customers in line started staring, and my face went hot with embarrassment, but there was nothing I could do about it in front of all of them, so I just... Oops, Ben doubled over, slapping the counter. A few customers in line started staring, and my face went hot, curled into fists at her sides, but she didn't say a word. She waited until we were embarrassment, but there was nothing I could do about it in front of all of them, so I just mopped the same spot again. Melody's hands curled into fists at her sides, but she didn't say a word. She waited until we were alone restocking the popcorn machine. "Why don't you report them to HR?" I shook my head. I did, twice. Turns out the HR rep and Jacob went to the same college. Melody didn't say anything, just kept refilling the machine, her jaw as tight as mine. That afternoon, the front door chimed and the owner walked in. Melody's whole face lit up, and I had no idea why some random customer would make her look like that. "Hi, Dad. I'm glad you're here because we have some things to talk about." My stomach dropped. The girl I'd spent the entire day training, the one who just watched Ben and Jacob humiliate me over and over, was the owner's daughter, and she'd seen every second of it. She walked him through exactly what she'd seen all day, and he turned to Ben and Jacob. "You're both done. Grab your things." I felt months of tension leave my shoulders all at once. He turned to me next, already reaching out his hand. "Thank you for training my daughter right through all of that. How does assistant manager sound?" I was showing the new girl. I came home through the front doors, excited to spend the evening with my wife, but she backed into a corner the second she saw me. "Get away from me. I don't know you." She threw a plate directly at my head, and it smashed on the wall behind me. The shards bounced and cut my cheek as she screamed, "Tell me what you did to my husband." My hand shot to my face as I struggled to understand what she just said. "I am your husband. We've been married for 11 years. Liar. She grabbed the golf club off the couch and raised it above her head. "I know you took him. Where is he?" She started smashing counters, cracking the table we'd had dinner on just yesterday. "Please tell me what you did to him." I watched her sob and thought she was having a breakdown, so I pulled out my phone to dial 911, but she immediately roared, "No, you're not kidnapping me too." She bolted out the back doors and scaled the fence, running away from me into the woods. I immediately dropped my phone and ran after her, my brain scrambling to think of why my wife thought I had kidnapped myself. I caught her at the tree line and wrapped my arms around her. She thrashed and bit my forearm, still screaming for me to give her husband back. Paramedics traced the open call and reached us a few minutes later. At the hospital, a doctor sedated her, then pulled me aside and explained my wife had developed Capgras syndrome. It's where the brain becomes convinced the people you love have been replaced by clones out to harm you. There's no cure, and your wife is an extreme case, so we're moving her to a psych ward. I dropped to my knees, and the next day walked up to the window of her room. She started banging the glass the second she saw me and begging me to bring her husband back, but I just stood helplessly on the other side, my fists clenched as tears rolled down my face. I'd never have her back. I came home.
Okay, let's roll through the plate out of her inventory. Wait, is that actually Zack Films? I'm not sure. The way that we teleported to her hand. So many people. Why? Like, why? What even is this? What even is this?
Front doors, excited to spend the evening with my wife.
Kiss YT twin? What are these?
I need all that shit. Give me all that shit. Where is your mask, my? Where is your mask? I'm so tired of you people doing bullshit without a goddamn mask. You either gonna end up in prison because the camera gonna see your face, or you gonna end up in heaven because the man who you did it to go on his get back. You know what? Revoke from the streets. Get out of here.
Okay, this channel.
Backed into a corner the second she saw me. Get away from me. I don't know you. She threw a plate directly at my head, and it smashed on the wall behind me. The shards bounced and cut my cheek. My classmate Derek handed me a Dorito and grinned. I know you can't eat.
Just wait real quick. What?
My classmate Derek handed me a Dorito and grinned. I know you can't. My classmate Derek handed me.
I want to take a screenshot
My class-
of this dude real quick. Screenshot. The best thing to do. Oh my god. What just happened? Just wait. I'm gonna use the iPad pen to draw poop on him. He looks absolutely trash like this, by the way. So I'll draw poop on him with the thing he came off. Why can't I draw? Like, why can't I draw? Red. Look at this dude. Look at this dude. And a laughing emoji. Oh, actually, yeah, I'm gonna save that. Save your photos. Okay.
Derek handed me a Dorito and grinned. I know you can't eat this. I shrugged. What do you mean I can't eat a Dorito? I threw the whole thing in my mouth, but the second I crunched down, my eyes went wide. It's the one chip challenge. He laughed and pulled out his phone because my face was already turning red. Sweat poured down my face as my mouth and stomach instantly screamed in pain. I reached for Derek's milk carton, but he pulled it away, shoving his camera in my face. I got up and sprinted behind the lunch lady's counter, dropping to my knees and going through the fridge looking for milk. I opened the gallon carton and started drinking, not even caring 300 kids were screaming, "Milk Boy," as the white liquid flowed down my face into my shirt. But then I felt it. My insides twisted, and the school bathroom stall was calling my name. I went to sprint out, but suddenly the principal blocked my path. He ripped the milk carton from me. "You're getting detention. I'm gonna crap myself." I screamed and ran straight into the bathroom, where I sat for 45 minutes hyperventilating in the stall. But Derek was right outside, sticking his hand underneath the stall with his phone on so he could record me. As I sat there, making the school bathroom unusable and feeling humiliated, I realized what I had to do. I walked into the cafeteria next day, hearing "Milk Boy" around me, but I simply sat down and pulled out my lunch. A tray of nachos, filled with one chip challenge chips, drizzled in Carolina Reaper sauce, jalapenos, and ghost pepper extract. From the outside, it looked like Derek's favorite, when in reality, it was the culmination of all of mankind's mistakes. Derek walked over the second he saw me. "What's up, Milk Boy? How's the one chip challenge?" But then my plate caught his eye. "I want some." His sausage fingers lunged for the nachos, and he shoveled handfuls into his mouth. I watched grinning as he ate 10 one chip challenge chips.
Comment. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. Sausage fingers. It's hard.
With everything else on top. "What are you laughing at?" He slammed the table, but face dropped midway. "Oh my god!" He instantly read, flailing his arms. "It burns!" But his fingers accidentally brushed his eyes. "Ah!" Derek's legs started shaking. "I can't see! I need milk!" I laughed because I'd done the math. What Derek had eaten was 23 times worse than what I did. He ran towards the lunch ladies with his eyes closed, panting and not knowing where he was. He slammed straight into the glass counter, falling with an earthquake-like thud. Derek lay there yelling, "Ah!" as I calmly walked over, my phone in my hand. "Who's the milk boy now?" My classmate Derek handed
Not from his story. What the heck? What is this?
Brennan slammed his Beyblade down onto the girl with Down syndrome's tray and shredded her sandwich into pieces. She sat there stunned, tears welling up in her eyes. I turned to him furious. "You think it's okay to do that to her?" Brennan smirked. "Yeah, she's a window licker." He turned and walked off without looking back. Something inside me snapped. I stood up on the bench, pointed across the cafeteria, and screamed, "I challenge you to a Beyblade duel." The whole cafeteria gasped and turned to look. Brennan stopped mid-step. He slowly turned around with this evil grin spreading across his face. "You're on. Me and my boys versus you. 2, loser licks the bird poop off the table by the
Ew,
playground.
no,
By the time we
no,
got to the
no.
picnic table, the entire playground had circled around it, 3 kids deep. Cohen pulled out a Beyblade with flames on it. Tate had a dragon. Brennan was twirling a black one with red spikes between his fingers. I unzipped my backpack and pulled out the one my older brother gave me for my birthday. Solid metal, no paint, no stickers. He told me, "This is Ragnarok. Don't use it unless you really need to." Brennan took one look and cackled. "What is that? A paperweight?" We loaded our launchers and Brennan counted us down. 3, 2, 1. Beyblade, let it ride. 4 Beyblades hit the dirt and sparks shot up wherever Ragnarok made contact. Crack. Ragnarok drilled into Cohen's and it shattered into 4 pieces. Cohen dropped to his knees sobbing. It was my birthday present. Ragnarok ricocheted off the wreckage and slammed into Tate's dragon. The whole thing launched out of the ring straight at Tate's face and knocked 3 of his teeth clean out. He touched the gap, saw blood, and ran off crying. Brennan was the only one left. His Beyblade was wobbling backwards trying to escape. He dropped to his knees and shoved his bare hand into the ring to block Ragnarok. Too late. Ragnarok smashed through into his Beyblade and it exploded, a shard of plastic slicing his palm open. He yanked his hand back screaming. The top half of his Beyblade flew up and landed dead center in the bird poop on the picnic table. Ragnarok kept spinning alone in the middle of the ring. The whole playground exploded. Marley!
Like, don't even touch the...
Marley! Marley! Brennan stumbled toward Marley, clutching his hand. Cohen shuffling behind him, still sobbing. He stopped in front of her and stared at the ground. "I'm sorry." Marley's face slowly broke into the biggest smile I'd ever seen. She raised her middle finger.
Oh,
"I forgive you
that-
too." Then she
that
pointed
was
at the picnic table.
one.
When they tried to put my brother with Down syndrome in prison, I burst out laughing. We couldn't afford to put my brother in a special program, so he was bullied constantly. He'd always just... While walking to class, the girl I liked bumped into me. My face turned red, and I went to say sorry, but she quickly pressed a piece of paper into my hand. "Here, you drop this." I nervously told her I didn't drop anything, but she just nodded and swore I did. I opened the note to see if it was maybe my math homework. "You're really cute. Will you go out with me?" I looked up and saw her cheeks going red. "I'm sorry, but this definitely isn't my note." I pressed it back into...
What? Wait a sec.
Isn't my note. I pressed it back into her head. "I'm sorry, but this definitely isn't my note." I pressed it back into her hand and walked away shaking with excitement because I just got to touch her hand. While walking to class, the girl I liked bumped into me. My face turned red and I went to say sorry, but she quickly pressed a piece of paper into my hand. "Here, you..."
Bro's a little old woman. What do you mean? Let me see it in the comments. So, history shorter than 30 seconds. Romance golden opportunity. Bros will go and take it in the airport. No one's even caring that this.
"Drop this." I nervously told...
is
My
an
mom
old
pushed my
woman.
plate of...
Come on,
While
bro.
my mom pushed my plate of breakfast eggs away and poured me a bowl of cereal. "Mom, can you stop treating me like a baby? I'm 23. But she patted my head and handed me a juice box.
Elmo.
"Whatever you say, sweetie." She gave me a plastic spoon. I face palmed and walked away. But that night she stormed in while I was gaming and unplugged my console. "It's past your bedtime. It's 9 p.m. I pointed
9 p.m. God, bro. These crazy moms.
at the clock, but she was already ushering me to the bed. "Exactly. You should have gone to sleep an hour ago." She took my phone and walked out, locking my door. I despised living with her and needed my own place, so I secretly applied for a job.
Wait. She said she took your phone. Special bedtime. GNG. Stop dreaming. Literally, no one cares that. Bruh, I gotta mention this. The mom said, oh, I'm dumb. Said, oh, took away his phone. Phone, TPs into a hand. Okay, listen.
The day of my interview, I told her I was meeting a friend and would be back for 6, then got dressed in the bathroom and snuck out. I walked into the interviewer's office, my heart pounding. But as soon as I sat down, the door behind me opened. Mom walked in smiling. My stomach instantly dropped. What are you doing here? Mama's just here to watch. We're gonna talk later about you lying to me about where you're going. She pulled up a chair and sat beside me. The interviewer had an awkward smile and chuckled. So tell me about yourself. I opened my mouth to speak, but suddenly my mom leaned over and stared into her eyes. He's a mama's boy. That's all.
Oh my god. Wait. I'm doing something real quick. Get this out real quick. Okay, nice. Listen. Alright. Good, now take out my pen and just let me put that spot. Turd face. I'm just gonna draw poop. Okay, nice. Save the photos. That was easy. Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye. See ya.